What's up, my ninjas? I'm STRYDENT, and we are doing a quick review, or a quick look, overview at the Justice League Gods and Monsters figures. You guys know I was a huge fan of the movie, and so I had to get these. I had some weird kind of waiting situation getting these two first. I saw them in the store, so I picked them up immediately, and then I had to get her off of eBay. The funny thing about these guys is they're kind of not that great. I mean, I hear a lot of people singing the praises of the animated series figures, but like, I'm not impressed. I mean, their build quality is kind of shitty. The stands, these are some horrible stands, and I'm going to get into them a little bit more, but I mean, like, what the fuck, that's it? Look at this. So that you can either have them closer, you know, on the stand, or farther away. I mean, the only good thing about the stands are the turnarounds. I think those are awesome. But like, overall, it's just real shitty. It's not really a stand so much. I mean, I don't get it. So overall though, before I get into this deep, you'll hear my air conditioner. It's, like I said, hot as fuck in here these days. So I was trying to run the air conditioner and keep everything cool up here. And I'm not gonna go into, this isn't a full-on review. This is a quick review, so I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over what I like and what I don't like about them, or what works and what doesn't work, and why. You know, that's the magic word that's missing from a lot of reviews. But I'm gonna jump into it right now. So I will start with the good. The good. All of the characters featured in this line, which are just these three, are very on model. They look really good. She looks kind of weird. She's got a big head. The best of the bunch being Mr. Superman right here. This is the Zod version. Well, you know, the Superman that has Zod's DNA. This guy is pretty awesome looking. Here's from the back, the side. I mean, it looks like Bruce Timm's art come to life. I was very, very impressed with that look. Besides that though, I don't get it. I just don't get it. The accessories that these guys came with all kind of pissed me off. They just don't make sense. I'll start off with Superman though. So, you know, he is Superman. Superman punches things. That's what he does, you know what I mean, when he's in battle. And that's what he did in this movie. But strangely enough, they did not give him punching hands. He came with a pair of kind of really tightly gripping hands. He came with like gun hands. What the fuck? Why? This doesn't make sense to me. No fists. And then he has the flight hands that you see on here. Why? And don't get me wrong, it works because the figure looks really cool when he's flying, because he can look up perfectly and he can point his toes just enough to really look like he's, you know, in a dynamic flying pose, you know what I mean? Or like the Matrix style flying poses that he would do in the actual movie. That looks really good. I was really impressed with this. I was like, wow, that actually looks really cool. So, you know, he's the best one of the bunch. I mean, his face sculpt is amazing. Just his musculature, wow. I'm gonna get to this, what you just saw happen in a second. But it's a beautiful looking figure. I mean, I was very impressed with the look of this figure. I didn't think he was gonna look that good, and then I saw him and I was so amazed, and then I impulse bought everybody, and I kind of should have thought more about it. Next we have Batman. I'm gonna put Mr. Guerrera in the background. Guerrera. And we're gonna look at Batman. Now, sorry, I'm gonna move back a little bit. This Batman figure is lacking in so many areas. Just look at his legs. There's all kinds of jacked up stuff going on. The knees are a point of contention for me. Do you see how it's splitting Hopefully you can see that. Move his hand out the way. Can you see the split in his knee? Right there on the side of his knee? It just doesn't make sense. I bent it once. I didn't play with these guys. And that's what happened. It's as if they just didn't think about how to engineer these knees so that they work. Then, there's no cuts in the thigh or the ankle, so you can't turn the legs so that he can stand up and look like a human being standing up straight. Instead, he looks very K-legged-ish, you know? He leans to the side really hardcore. It just doesn't look right. And I'm like, why didn't they just, you know, engineer some other shit and make it look a little bit different? Instead, they went the easy way out and just pretty much sculpted him standing there and then, you know, tried to add the articulation. Next, Batman had wings in the movie. No wings. Batman was a vampire in the movie. No mention, nothing, no accessory that gives you the idea of vampirism. Instead, you get an alternate head, this right here, of just Mr. Langstrom. Regular expression, nothing else. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This makes no sense. And then what kind of hands would you think that he comes with? He's got fists, but he didn't come with any accessories, and he comes with gun-holding hands. What the fuck? Ugh. So yeah, I'm disappointed. Extremely disappointed there. And then that brings us to Becca. This figure, I mean, and like even the articulation, like when I try to pose him, the cuts are just not good. I mean, that's as far forward as I can move his foot, his leg. Just that. Let me straighten the other one so you can see. That's as far forward as his foot goes. This is a guy who was throwing crazy kicks and flipping, and he's like super agile and shit. None of that shit here. So pretty much you just have a really cool looking maquette to just stand there. You can't do anything else. And see the shitty ass stands. The stand is pretty much, it's a pole with a thing on it. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. It's just a pole, clear pole with a stick on it that just floats. You see that? It doesn't even stay in place. It falls on its own. How can I put him in a flight pose or a jumping pose or something? You can't even angle this up or any of that kind of shit because the hole only goes in through the top. I mean, these are just piss poor, man. These are some of the worst stands. They're even worse than these stands. And you know how I don't like these because these clamps are so light and so flimsy and they come off easily, and a lot of times you spend a lot of time tightening these. I love the Mafex stands because the Mafex stands actually do what they're supposed to do. They're very tight and I haven't had to move them around very much. But these are piss fucking poor. I mean, in the case of these figures, I guess they work because I've been using them and you know, they're not falling down, but they're just really cheap. And considering that you paid 20 bucks or more, come on, man, it shouldn't be like that. But let's get to Becca. Becca, ooh-wee. I really waited for this figure because she was the one that my comic book store did not have. So I was expecting her to be extra cool. The first problem I had with her, when we're just looking at the figure itself, let me get her off the stand so you can see, is, and her joints were pretty tight, which was nice, but yeah, you heard it. So she has a holding things hand, well, two of them. They're identical, and they don't hold things very well. It's fucking terrible. The legs have the same issue as Batman, so at times you see like, I'll turn it sideways on this side. The way that the leg is, you know, engineered, see that crack? It's pretty bad. It just splits if you try to, you know, get things back to, you know, a bent position, which it shouldn't do that because, you know, you would think that they would have engineered it so that it would stay, you know, the way it's supposed to be. Instead, it just falls apart. Then her hand. You see how the sword has been sliding? I put the sword here. With just a little bit of movement, the sword moves all the way down, it slips, and then you easily can pull the sword out. This is a woman who the sword was practically stuck to her hand in the film. You know what I mean? She was so thorough, so hardcore with the sword. Then there's her head. Her head, to me, looks way too big for her body. And I know you could say it's Bruce Timm's artwork and all these different bullshit kind of excuses, but it just looks too big. She has like no forehead, and it just doesn't look right to me. But I mean, and then there's little things like her ankle. You see that ankle that's warped? What's going on there, man? So, you know, there's a lot of things wrong with this that, you know, it just bothers me, considering that the movie was so good. And she gets a swivel at the boot, but the other two don't. I mean, this movie was so good, and I was expecting so much from this movie, and I didn't see hardly, I maybe found 1 or 2 reviews of these figures. Maybe that should have been a sign. And the rest were of the animated series figures. Let me show you the hands that she comes with. Luckily, she came with fists. I'm surprised. So Batman and Wonder Woman get fists, and Superman gets gunning hands and stuff, which makes no damn sense. And then she has another holding thing hand, which I have one of those on, and then she has her open, you know, splayed open hands, or her relaxed hands, depending on how you know, pose them. And that's it. No other accessories, no mother box, no nothing, nothing from Orion, nothing. So yeah, these guys, as it pains me to say it, but these guys are a pass. I mean, if I can't recommend them based on, you know, a few basic things, the biggest basic thing that makes me say no to these figures is their articulation sucks. You really can't pose them doing anything. I mean, like, this is as far up as his arm goes. Why? It's 2016. Why would you hinder that? And it's a Superman, so you don't really need to do that much with him. But like, even on Batman, he was the more agile one of the bunch. This is as much. This is as far lateral as his arm goes. This is the bend in his elbow. That's fucking embarrassing. I mean, look at that shit. That's the bend in his elbow. It's not even 90 degrees. That's as far up as his leg goes. This is as far out as his leg goes, which is fine. It looks kind of weird, but it's fine. And then this is the knee bend, and you have that shit going on where it's cracking on the side. What the fuck, guys? I mean, that's not cool. It just, and then there's like, you get a twist, I think, in the torso. Yeah, you get a twist. That's it. It just, I don't like it when articulation is an afterthought, and because of that, I can't give this set a very high praise. I mean, I love the characters, don't get me wrong, and I love that movie. The movie just shows how awesome Bruce Timm is and how much he's necessary to fix the problems that you've been seeing with the animated films, and how much he should be the Kevin Feige of DC's, you know, cinematic or extended universe, as they like to call them. But I mean, these toys are fucking horrible. If you guys like action figures, and you like posability, and you like engineering, and you like, you know, all those things that make up a good figure, essentially, if you've ever collected like a regular DC collectibles figure, or DC UCs, or Japanese figures, or whatever, these guys are a pass. If you want figures that are going to look nice standing there, and you never ever pose them, or you leave them in the package, get them. You'll love them, if you can still find them, because this movie was a one-off. It was like a one-shot. But I mean, so much is limited with their articulation. So much was limited with their accessories. The stands are shit. And I know some of this is the same format with all the animated figures. So, you know, I think the animated figures have been overhyped. So, you know, be careful. Don't believe all the hype. And if you, I don't know, if you really love the movie, you might just want art or a statue of some sort, because these guys are not good action figures. They're just not. And it was weird because it's been really hard for me to actually, I mean, you can see I'm stuttering over my words and stuff, but it's really difficult for me to do the review. I mean, I wanted to do a quick review, and I've had these figures since the beginning of the year, and I didn't do the quick review because of the fact that it just was paining me to do it. But I was like, I have to get to these. These are definitely a pass. You know, you guys, if you like action figures of any kind of good quality, even Marvel Legends, and you know I can't stand Marvel Legends these days, you know, they're still a pass. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I'm Strident. This has been my quick review of the Justice League Gods and Monsters figures from DC Collectibles. They are a complete pass. Complete pass. If you are casual and you don't do anything with your figures, maybe then and only then are they, you know, a must get. You know, if you're a fan, I guess, then, you know, maybe you will definitely get them regardless. If you don't care about quality, you just want to see them in your collection somewhere. But to me, the quality that I'm looking for, I mean, when there's all this shit out there, you know, freaking Ultra Act figures and Figuarts and Mayfex and freaking Figmas, you know what I'm saying, and all this other goodness, it makes no sense to settle. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. You've been great. On to the next one.